So now another pedophile zombie is preparing a black coffee, brewed coffee. It is known that the robots cannot stand the smell of black coffee. It's a huge trigger. I forgot to mention it. I'm sorry. It's a huge trigger against the robots, the Titans. Of course, like all other triggers, it's something that is rooted in very old in Israeli culture. Not only in Israel, of course, many cultures like in the Middle East. The smell of brewed black coffee. Of course, it's something that was very popular in Israel since like more than 100 years ago. I mean, initially they called it Turkish coffee, and some still call it that way, Turkish coffee. But it was always popular, even though, I mean, during the 80s and the 90s, it kind of like reduced in popularity, but actually it had a resurgence in the last 20 years when young people kind of like, I mean, discovered it. So, but it is known that, I mean, as most of the triggers are things that were very common in Israeli culture, like even before the state of Israel existed, like more than 100 years ago, and I spoke about it quite a bit in the Israeliana saga. So one of the things is like black coffee. So it's a known trigger that, I mean, the robots absolutely cannot stand it. So if you want to really like take your revenge on the robots, if they did something very horrible, like now, you see that I burned the cake. So they prepare fresh coffee, and I'm under arrest, nowhere to hide, nowhere to run, and it's a very strong smell. So all the apartment is filled with the smell of the black coffee. The only caveat here is that I actually like black coffee very much, and I many times prepare it even in this apartment. But you know, empirical evidence cannot change. I mean, these pedophile zombies are completely resistant to empirical evidence. So yeah, I mean, the robot is kind of like, I mean, has kind of a conditioning against black coffee, even though he prepares to himself black coffee in this apartment many times. But yes, I mean, that's the way they are. Anyway, this is what you see there now is, of course, the rest of the cake. So no more cake. There are still, I mean, remnants of beeswax in the various containers, but mostly there is still the water, and the water is very rich in neros, but we will find a way to burn it. Actually, the water burns pretty well. What you see now burning is not oil, but actually Coke Zero. It's Coke Zero with and on top of it like the cheesecake. And also I switched the music to the classical Vulcans in order for the worms to be prepared. And like, I mean, you know, when I was at my university studies, I mean, I remember we studied like a book that is called the Agvina Vatolaim, like the cheese and the worms, like, I mean, kind of like, I mean, a medieval history. So it's kind of, this is the cheesecake and the worms. You see it burns very, very, very well, even though it's on like, it rests on top of like, I mean, on a little like ocean of Coke Zero. So yeah, I mean, this is kind of like, I mean, the agenda now is to burn, of course, all the rest of the wax. There isn't much more. And then, I mean, you know, depends on, you know, the behavior, which will probably be very, very bad to burn the water. As I said many times, I don't need it. It's mine, but I don't need it. I cannot sell it. You need it in order to live. You cannot get it anywhere. The bicycle mechanism doesn't work remotely, and you know it. You don't have no way to go to Venus. The gates are closed. The only way you can get it is for me, and I mean, most of it was already burned, and the rest will be burned probably today or tomorrow, because the ego of the operators. This is all, I mean, for people that don't understand how this works, even though we described that in the various sagas, the female operators control the zombies like in 100%. They can tell them to cut their dick, and they will do it. They cannot resist them. All my torture is predicated on the ego of the operators. But and they need this material in order to live, but they prefer to die in terrible pain than tell the zombies to stop the torment. Because ego is a terminal disease of humanity and of the people of the earth. The good news is that probably although we lose all the neurons, like all the tea that you need in order to live, the good news is probably a lot of radioactive material is actually created in this crucible, because this is like the setup of the crucible that is used in order to create the radioactive material. So probably under all this kind of like, I mean, ocean of oil and Coke Zero, I mean, like a rich uranium deposit is accumulating, and maybe it could be of some use. Maybe for culinary purposes, or maybe for, in order to create more of the yellow full metal jacket. I don't know, we'll think about it. So these are the good news, I guess. The ego is the worst disease known to the cherubs, and they know a lot. But we have yet to find like a more terrible bacteria than the bacteria of the ego.